big hi from Team Child Warriors of Cactus Foundation from India, and a warm welcome to all of you who watch our show. And yay! We are into our third episode of the season and first episode of this year, 2022. Hope we as children get safe childhoods this year. Capeless Superheroes is a humble initiative managed by Child Warriors at Cactus Foundation India. A big thank you for receiving the 2 episodes with so much warmth and love. Thank you for the messages and likes and views. Childhoods need to be safe and filled with warm memories of love, care and safety. However, most children never get these basics of childhood. Millions of kids experience child sexual abuse and keep suffering in silence. They need more and more advocates from all walks of life to create safe childhoods. Thankfully, we have a few unsung heroes without capes who are working relentlessly to create safe childhoods and advocate prevention of CSA. Capeless Superheroes is our way to honor such incredibly inspiring humans who are passionately trying to create safe childhoods. Capeless Superheroes is our opportunity to get inspired and motivated to become advocates for safe childhoods while growing up. Capeless Superheroes is an attempt to acknowledge the thankless and countless efforts by these unsung heroes who are working for children and childhoods. This is our humble way of thanking them for the good they do. So let's begin yet another episode with another incredible Capeless Superhero. So here we go. I am thrilled beyond words and my heart is filled with gratitude as I feel honored to present our Capeless Superhero whom I love, admire and truly look up to. She is fearless, strong, resilient, courageous, perseverant, optimistic, a continuous learner, kind, compassionate, humble and my favorite. She is a licensed clinical social worker, published author of the book Off Limits, a parent's guide to keep kids safe from sexual abuse. She is the founder of Parenting Safe Children, one of the leading experts in child sexual assault prevention globally. She started her journey in 1985 and still pursues this cause with the same zeal. She is my friend, my inspiration and my mentor. Let's all salute and put our hands together for this amazing Capeless Superhero in the truest sense of the word. Feather Berkower! Welcome to the show and are you ready to begin? Thanks so much to accept our invite to be with us. Thank you so much, Feather Auntie.
Oh my gosh, I need a tissue. We haven't even begun yet, and I don't cry very often on screen, Seher, but I am in tears. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, and I can't wait to talk to you.
You deserve that introduction. You're so much into that work, and I mean all the things that I've said right now.
Thank you, dear.
Alright, so let's start. You have such a rich experience in the domain of child protection and working against child sexual abuse. As a child, did you ever imagine that you would create such a huge difference in this domain of CSA prevention?
Wow, I've never been asked that question as a child. No, of course not. I didn't think of this at all. I actually really had no experience with sexual abuse, thankfully for myself. And I did know as a child, though, Seher, that I wanted not as a young child, but more into my teens, that I wanted to work with kids in some way, with children. But as a young child, no, I could have never imagined I would be doing work like this. Yeah.
See how far you've come without even thinking of it when you were a child. It's all hats to you. It's amazing. There is a lot of hype that focuses on training and teaching kids to protect themselves from safe or unsafe touch. But you and your entire work focuses on holding adults accountable to protect children. I personally find it really powerful. Will you be able to tell us why you chose to be adult-centric when it comes to CSA prevention?
I am so glad you asked this question, and I was going to find a way, Seher, to weave this in today in our conversation. So let me tell you this, that in the early days when I first started working with children and doing prevention, way before you were born, way before, in the late 80s,
My dad was born.
yes, exactly. And so about 1985, like you said, I was trained in a program that was school-based. It went into schools with preschool children through high schools, teaching kids how to protect themselves, teaching children skills about saying no to adults if they are touched unsafely, how to run, how to yell, how to tell, refusal skills, and how to keep themselves safe. And I want to be really clear that I do believe in teaching children those skills, as you are working so tirelessly on, and some of your other interviews you've done, people are focused on teaching kids to protect themselves. And I believe, and I learned in those early years how to do that with children. And I believe that's important. But I also really believe, and through my work over the decades, that adults are responsible for protecting children from sex abuse.
That's right.
Kids, right? Kids can learn these skills. You can learn these skills. Your little brother can learn what a safe touch is, what an unsafe touch is. But ultimately, it is your mom and your dad's job. It is all of our job as adults to make sure we create environments for kids that are safe. I don't want you to have to live in the world thinking about this. Now, I know you're doing this as a child warrior, and this is your work, and it's unbelievable. But for most kids, they shouldn't have to have sex abuse on their mind. Yes, skills to be safe. So in my work and over the years, I transitioned to work with adults to help adults be the ones to take that responsibility.
That's totally true. We totally resonate with this belief at Cactus too. Like, children are pressured so much, to prevent themselves from CSA, but when it comes, they don't have any, they don't take interest in this topic, and it's so frustrating for a child to, go through and then prevent his herself or himself from this. And parents should take responsibility and make a conscious effort to prevent CSA.
And all adults, right? Children have parents who are offenders. So the truth is, the whole community of adults, teachers, nurses, doctors, aunties, grandparents, everyone, it should play a role. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Feather. When kids get sexually abused, they do try to share it with some adult around them. Mostly they try to share with parents or teachers, and parents and adults seldom pay attention to this. They either don't believe the child, or they ask the child to keep quiet due to fear of family or institutional reputation. This is one of the most disappointing facts, isn't it? What should we as children do when adults fail in protecting us and breaking the silence?
So what we know about this is that many children don't tell verbally, but so many children try to tell indirectly. They tell through their behavior. They tell through dropping hints in the things that they say, that they're trying to get attention. There's so many, for instance, I'll give an example so people understand this. I don't want to play those games with grandpa anymore. A 5-year-old says to mommy. And often what the parents will say is, that's not nice. That's your grandpa. Respect him, play with him. An educated parent might say, what games? What don't you want to play? Tell me more about that. And these examples I might use today are all real examples. And that's the difference between listening and not listening to a child. So you're right. Your question that kids are trying to tell, but they're not always listened to. So what is my advice for children? It's a mixed answer, Seher, because what I want to say is keep telling someone. Tell someone else until you're believed. The truth is that most survivors, most children don't tell. They don't. So adults can tell them all day long, tell. And we should keep doing that. But we have to understand the nature of this crime. And the nature is such that the person touching the child unsafely, sexually assaulting, is in a position of power, and the child usually loves that person and relies on that person and needs that person. So while we are teaching children to tell, adults need to understand why they don't, and not blame them, and not accuse them of lying, and not putting the burden on them. So it's my belief in prevention that while giving children this information, we need to do damage control, prevent them from feeling more shame and more blame if they don't use the skills we teach them, because the perpetrator has so much power over them. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so. Mostly we have seen many cases where the perpetrator is related to the child, or the child trusts that person a lot. So if that the parents will think that this is someone very close to us and someone very good, so we can't trust whatever the child is telling. But if it could be someone who's stranger to the child, the message may go to the parents. But if it's someone known, it is very difficult for the parents to also accept what the child is going through.
Right.
So children often do not tell whatever they've been through. Conduct so many parenting safe children workshops, and I've read some amazing reviews about it. I know that your trainings and workshops are a powerhouse of empowerment and awareness for parents and adults. Can you tell me the most common challenges you face while training parents? Is there any resistance by them on any specific concept? I would love to know.
Good question. So let's see. Usually the parents who come to my workshops are ready to learn. They're hungry for the information. They feel fearful. What am I going to be taught here? And the topic itself is so taboo, as you talk about so often. I think one of the most challenging concepts for parents, is to be able to take the body safety rules that we talk about teaching children, like giving them consent to hug and kiss, like teaching children they are the boss of their own body, teaching children we don't keep secrets and they're allowed to hug and kiss if and when they want. Those concepts, parents have a very hard time communicating those to other adults. And that's what my work is focused on. Again, the adult responsibility is having your mom, we'll use your mom as an example, having her be able to talk to your horse riding teacher about your body safety rules, if you use a babysitter, when you're together with family. So parents have a really hard time. They're so nervous to tell their own mother that their child doesn't have to hug or kiss, to set the boundaries, because they don't want to offend and they don't want to come off like they don't trust the person or they're accusing them of something. So that's what is really, those concepts are very challenging for parents to, they can understand how to teach their kids the body safety, but they're very frightened about then going and talking with other adults about sexual abuse. And so I continue to work with parents on being brave and having the voice to be able to do that.
Because they fear that the other person will be offended whatever they are saying. But I believe the other person should also have a space where the parent can tell it to another adult without fearing that he or she may be offended.
Right. Let me ask you this, or to see if you understand this. So we teach children to say no. Don't touch my private parts if someone tries to touch their genitals, right? And we should teach kids to say that, to say no and refuse. What we know is that most kids don't, right? Most kids will never resist that from someone powerful. So we focus no on children, yet how can a 5-year-old look up to his or her uncle and say, don't touch my private parts, when the adults are standing right there or around and see the behaviors that lead up to touching private parts, like the tickling and the grooming, and the adult doesn't say, please stop. But we expect the child. I don't expect you to be able to have to do that unless the adults around you are helping you. So, yeah.
Even parents should take a stand for the children if if the parent is seeing something like this happening with
Exactly.
his or her child. I don't have a copy of your book, Off Limits. Can you highlight the gist of the book?
Sure. I have it right here for anyone who's interested, and I'm going to send you all another one. I did send it, but it never reached you. The Off Limits book is for parents. It's not a book for children. And it starts with the stories of 4 children who are sexually assaulted. These are composite cases that show the dynamics of abuse. They're not real kids, but they're real stories of how it happens. And what happens in these stories is we see how all the adults around the child made some mistakes in the signs of what was going on. And then the stories of these children follow all the safety tips in the book. And so the book focuses on the body safety rules for children and teens. It focuses on age-appropriate sexual development, what's normal, appropriate sexual play and curiosity for children at different ages versus concerning behavior in kids. When are children perhaps sexually acting out? The book focuses on what to do if a child does disclose, how to respond to children, and then all the conversations parents can be having with their caregivers about sexual abuse with the adults in their life. And in the back of the book, what's so cool about it is there's an appendix that has a couple of pages that the reader can photocopy and hang on their walls in their house or wherever. And those pages, one of the pages is called I'm an Off-Limits Kid, which I think you are, an off-limits kid, which means that you know all the safety rules and your mom and dad know all the safety rules. And so the book is focused on prevention, yet it has these stories weaving through of how children have been hurt in this way and how we can do it differently. Yeah.
You are working so hard to take the burden of keeping ourselves safe as kids and telling adults. Thank you so much, Featherante, for all of this. And the book has also so many, like almost all the tips we need. Parents need to, start conversations with kids, teach them about body safety, and all the topics are covered in this. How to identify if your child is going through something like this. It's amazing, and I hope we get that book and we get to read it.
You have to come to Colorado to see me and I'll hand you one.
I'll come soon as the pandemic, eases out a bit. I'll come soon. I want to meet you and Elvis too. I just hope that happens someday.
I know.
I checked your amazing website that has so many useful resources. I read that a movie changed your life and inspired you to work in this field. Can you share which movie and what was so inspiring in it that you are so passionate about this cause and it changed your future?
Yeah, so this kind of goes back to your first question about did I know in my childhood if I was going to do this work? No, not in my childhood, but the movie that you're talking about, I was in college. I was about 23 years old, and I was at home with my roommate, and a movie came on the television. I didn't know, we just turned the TV on and the movie was there. And it was called Something About Amelia. And you can watch it on YouTube if you'd like. It's appropriate for your age. With the work that you're doing, you certainly can watch it. And the movie was all about incest. It was about a 12-year-old girl whose father was sexually assaulting her. And the movie was short. It was only 90 minutes, but I sat there just riveted in the movie with my jaw open, and I had never had any experience with this issue, with this topic, with this crime. And there was something that happened for me watching that movie. My heart just broke open, and I turned to my roommate at the end of the movie and I said, that is my life work. That's what I'm going to do with my career. And that's when I started to get trained in prevention with kids and worked with the Child Assault Prevention Project in California for years and years, and then got my master's in social work and started to do this work. So
Wow.
the movie just really, really touched me, and I wanted to be someone who was helping kids in that way.
Okay, I bet that movie has a lot to share. It practically changed your future, and I bet the movie is really good, and it actually changed your future. So I hope I watch it soon. In this long journey, almost more than 3 decades of being a capeless superhero, I'm sure there must have been moments of despair, disappointment, loneliness, and rejection of ideas. Can you share any such moment, and how do we cope through periods of disappointment? Your insights will surely help us.
Yeah. So it's really hard for me and very painful when we know a child is being sexually assaulted, and in our justice system, and I can't speak for India and Dubai, and but for the United States, when we put children back in homes where they're being abused, where they're not believed, where defense attorneys attack children in court cases, where mothers are blamed for what's called parental alienation, which is not even really a thing. It's moms are blamed in divorce cases when children say, "Daddy sexually assaulted me," in those particular situations, and children are put right back into the home because the woman is crazy. Those kinds of scenarios, I feel like I can't breathe. I feel helpless. And the best that I can do in my role is to continue to support that parent, to believe the child and be there for the child, and continue to give empowering skills to that child and protect the child as best they can. But I think in my career, those have been the hardest times, when we know this is happening and all the support and the adults around the child who are supposed to protect them don't do it. That makes me feel hopeless.
Yeah. This is so inspiring, but it's something that should not happen to any child, to put back in the same place where the child was assaulted, and that should not happen to any child.
No.
I was told you have also worked with perpetrators of CSA. As a child, I am really curious to know, why would someone intend to sexually abuse a child? I mean, how can they even think of doing this crime and harm? Are these people wired differently? And if you see the statistics of kids being sexually abused, I guess the number of perpetrators is so high. I find it too scary as a child. Can you share what goes in the making of a pedophile and CSA perpetrator?
Wow, that is a big question, Seher, and I wish we had a whole hour more to talk about it. But let me try and summarize it for you, okay? For the listeners. So, and I want to acknowledge that as a child is scary for you, but I think it's truly amazing that you want to learn. And I think that if more people in society were willing to learn about what drives someone to sexually assault, then perhaps we could do more to stop it. So it is, and this I know is very difficult often for survivors to hear, and I get that. I understand, and I walk that line between being an advocate for children and understanding the crime from the perpetrator's perspective, so we can stop it in the name of stopping it. So the answer to your question is this: there are people who are pedophiles. We are learning more and more about that, okay, through study of the brain. These people who are termed pedophiles are usually children who are growing into pre-adolescence and adolescence, so their teenage years, who find themselves sexually drawn to children. So as they become teenagers, they don't have sexual attractions to their own same age person. And as they grow into adulthood, they remain attracted to children. Not all pedophiles ever touch children. There is a whole growing body of people who have this, whatever we want to call it, mental illness, or they have this propensity to be attracted to children, who never ever touch a child and who are committed to not touching children. Okay? But they are vilified and they are called evil for the feelings they have. I don't believe we'll ever stop sex abuse until we understand pedophiles. Okay? Most people who sexually abuse children are not pedophiles. Most are what you called CSA abusers. So those are, we call situational or opportunist abusers. And those are people, men and women, mostly men, adult men, who have had severe distress in their life, who have intense loss of self-worth, who have no ability to have healthy attachments from their childhood and their adulthood, who are estranged from family and loved ones, whose lives are falling apart and they're desperate for connection. Now, not everyone who feels that way molests a child, but what I've learned from the men that I've worked with is that the ones who do cross that line and sexually abuse have these psychological factors. And your mom as a psychologist might understand this, right? That their lives have fallen apart so much that they're grasping and reaching for any way to get their emotional needs met. And unfortunately, it's so easy to turn to a child to get those needs met. So your question is, what drives someone to do that? In my work with offenders, that is what I've learned. When the person is not a pedophile, but a situational opportunist abuser, they are trying to fill a need that they can't get anywhere else. It does not make it right. We don't accept, it's not condoning it. We're just explaining, why does this happen? So to summarize and let you get to your next question, I believe in prevention, that really the first step is helping people so they never offend in the first place. Giving services to men and women who are on the brink of turning to a child, so we stop it before it ever happens. So we don't have to teach parents how to protect their kids like this, and we don't have to teach children warriors to talk about body safety. Let's help the people who are doing this stop and never have another victim again. And I acknowledge that many people can't take that in because they've been so hurt by sexual abuse. But that is my commitment in this work, is to understand why a perpetrator does what they do. So we can stop it. Yeah.
I didn't know this. Most CSA abusers are not pedophiles. So I believe that mental health plays a huge role in reducing the numbers. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And if we understand the mindset of the CSA abusers, we might, reduce the numbers of, rape cases and all. We can prevent children being assaulted sexually. And I hope that someday we, get to that level where we are preventing perpetrators not to do this, and we don't have a lot of CSA cases around us.
I am so impressed that you understand that. I'm so touched that you want to learn more about this, and I'm here for you as a role model and as a person to help you understand this more.
You are
I know.
my
You are mine too. You are. You need to know that.
It's a pleasure, and I highly respect you, and I hope to learn a lot from you in the coming years and coming days. As a capeless superhero, you are trying hard to normalize the conversation around CSA. Can you list the subtopics in domain of CSA that need to be normalized and spoken aloud?
Yes, yes. So just like a parent would talk to their babysitter, their nanny, their family about an allergy their child has, like my child's allergic to peanuts, please don't give them peanut butter. I would like parents and caregivers to be able to say, these are our body safety rules in our family. No one touches private parts. We don't keep secrets in our family. Children get to go to the bathroom and have privacy and shut the door. Children are allowed to speak up and tell if they feel worried or concerned about anything. We don't look at pictures or videos on phones and on computers of naked people. So what I would like to do is have adults be able to normalize the conversations around sex abuse, just like allergies or the car seat or the bike helmet or your swimming class or when you get on a horse and the safety measures you take on your horse. Just let's normalize it so we can keep kids safe. And in my workshops, we practice that language. And I have parents practice how they can tell grandma what those boundaries are.
That's true.
Yeah.
We just need to normalize it by, starting it with normal day activities. The ones you said, like telling your sitter about allergies and everything, protection from, in winters, something happens. The way you said, just we can normalize it like that, and it's amazing. And you also have conversation starter cards, right? And that's very helpful, I believe, for all the parents.
Yeah, so parents are, go ahead, what was your question about it?
No, it's really helpful for all the parents, right? The conversation starter cards. I bet that's really helpful for the parents to start conversations with the people around and also with their children.
Yeah, well, the cards are for adults because parents are so afraid to start this conversation. So this is a way to help normalize it. So it comes in the cards come in a pack of 25 and parents can hand them to the babysitter, to the school teacher, to the gymnastics coach, whomever, and it has the body safety rules on them. And it has the statistics about sex abuse of children. And it has some bullet points of what parents are asking from that person. So imagine if your mom handed this to all the people that you spend time with, Seher, to let everyone know this is how we run our family and these are the safety rules. Now I know your mom, she doesn't need the card really because she's so vocal and she's so confident to talk like this, but most parents aren't. And so the cards help get those conversations started.
That's so helpful for the parents to just tell someone else about this with the help of the cards. If they're too nervous to, share it vocally, that's very helpful, I believe. As a child, how can we heal healthily from an experience of an unsafe childhood? I believe I really want to know, how do I contribute as a child to help ourselves and our peers to prevent and heal from CSA?
Okay, so let me understand your question. You're asking, as a child, how can you help a friend who might have experienced abuse? Okay, great. Just wanting to know, just asking the question like you just asked it is helping them because you're curious and you want to be there for your friends. So if you know of a friend or any children, teenagers who might be listening to this, your child warriors of another child, I think the best healing you can help them with or give them is to believe them and to listen to them and to ask the question, how can I be there for you? What can I do to help? Instead of assuming what they need, instead of saying, don't worry, it'll be okay. Instead saying, how can I be here? I believe you, you're safe with me. And just allowing them to talk about whatever they need to talk about. As a kid, that's what you can do for other kids.
Okay.
And also, and one more thing, let them know whatever happened to them was not their fault and no one had the right to do that to them.
Thank you so much for these tips, Feather Auntie. It's really helpful for children to, help their peers if they've been through something, to, give them some comfort as a child, and to have someone who understands the child. Thank you so much for these tips.
You're welcome.
With your rich experience of decades in this domain, can you tell us 3 moments that you look back and feel proud of yourself?
3, right now with you. I'm serious. Just the fact that you are so hungry for this information. I'm very proud.
I'm humbled.
Yes. Okay, another moment. I'm going to share a story with you. I'll make it really brief, and this can be 2 moments because it'll be a little longer than giving you 3. I have a niece, and she is like my daughter. And when she was 7 years old, I was out at the pool with her. We went swimming, and I was just starting to write this book. I've never told you this story, and I asked my niece, Bernie is her name, Bernie. I said, Bernie, I'm writing a book for parents to help them keep their kids safe. And in the book, there's what if games for adults to play with kids about what they could do if they were unsafe. But you know what the what if games are? What would you do if? I don't know if you've ever played that game, but what would you do if someone tried to touch your private parts? What could you say? What if you got lost from your mom in the store? So you help kids understand what they could do. And I was playing the game with her, and I asked her, what would she do if a kid at school called her a mean name? And what would she do if a bully tried to abuse her, push her around? And what would she do if she got lost in a store? And we were playing the what if game, because I wanted her to help me write the what if stories for parents in the book. And then I said to her, after we played these what if scenarios, I presented a body safety what if to her. I said, Bernie, what would you do if I touched your private parts? And I'm her auntie, okay, by blood, I'm her aunt. And I said, what would you do? Because we had taught her so much about what she could do if someone touched her private parts. But now it's me. It's not someone out there, right? It's not some stranger. What would you do if I touched your private parts? And she started to giggle. She was 7 years old. And she said, you would never do that to me, Auntie Feather. And I said, you're right. I would never do that to you. But it's a what if game. What could you do? And she said, I would tell mom and dad. And I said, you would? And she said, uh-huh. And I said, sweetie, if you told daddy, and her dad is my brother, okay, so that's the family relationship. I said, if you told daddy that I touched your private parts, I would be in really big trouble. And she was sitting very close to me at the pool, on the chair at the pool. And she looked me straight in the eyes, and her little hands went like this. And she said, that would be your problem, not mine. And I giggled just like that. And then tears were pouring down my face. And in that moment, I was so proud. I knew that we did the best we could with this child, teaching her body safety, because you would agree with me, probably a 7-year-old understanding that she is allowed to say no to a misbehaving adult is a very big concept, and it's very difficult for a child to do. And I was just so proud that we had spent years teaching her this information, and that hopefully she could respond like that she knows that if an adult touched her genitals, that person was the person who had the problem, not her. It was not her fault. I think that would make any relative proud.
Of course, it's so important for a child to know so much, and you must have worked really hard to make her understand, and it was a really answer. It's your problem, it's not mine.
Right.
And I bet you felt really proud of yourself at that time, that your message is being conveyed to other people around you, other children around you, and they are implementing whatever you've taught them. You are constantly surrounded by stories of survivors and cases of CSA. How do you manage to keep yourself positive and happy? How do you de stress, and how important it is to de stress?
It's everything. And I think you know how I de-stress. I live in Colorado and I hike a lot. I get in the mountains. In the spring, I look at the wildflowers, and in the summer, I hike at the waterfalls, and I love to do that. And most importantly, I spend a lot of time with my horse, Elvis. And as soon as I drive away from my office, which I love my office, but I go see my horse, it all rolls off. And as you know, we share this love for horses. When I'm with him, I'm just with him, and that's how I de-stress.
I think that's true. Even
Yeah.
I sometimes de-stress and remove all my burdens when I meet any horse. If I see, and spending time with the horse is really good for me. And it practically brings you in the moment, and you feel so calm and peaceful, and you forget all about your stress, your worries, your struggles. It's amazing to be with
It
horses.
is.
In the domain of CSA, can you tell us whose work inspires you the most, and someone who is your Capeless superhero?
Okay, I have a handful. Let's say you are one, definitely. Your mother, Nusrat, is two. You both inspire me from the moment I met you both a couple of years ago. I tell everyone about the two of you. I don't know anyone who works more tirelessly than your mom, really. And now she's training you, and it's just truly touching. Another person who inspires me, a couple more people, is, I don't know if your mom knows, I think, Marilyn Vanderbilt, who was Miss America. She was a beauty queen in 1958. She won the Miss America contest, and she lived a childhood of rape by her father. And she is a public speaker who speaks very openly about incest and the realities of this crime on children. And she is my mentor, and she actually wrote the foreword to my book, so she inspires me. And then there's a gal, I don't know if you all are connected with Stop It Now in the United States, but they're a nonprofit organization that really focuses on helping people not offend. So yes, they do work around kids, but they help part of their mission is to help men and women get help they need and the resources before they sexually abuse. And Jenny Coleman's the director, and she is a huge inspiration to me. So there's lots of people. My best friend Annie is an inspiration to me. So I have a lot of people I look up to and learn from. And again, you, Seher, are really quite an amazing young woman.
Thank you so much. It's all because of you, Capeless Superheroes, that I'm so inspired to work for this cause. I think Marilyn Vanderbilt was in Beyond
Yes,
Borders.
she was.
So. Okay, it's so inspiring to know so many things from you, Capeless Superheroes. It surely inspires all of us to work for this cause. What is the craziest thing you ever did as a teenager, and what would you like to tell the teenagers of today?
Oh my gosh. What is the craziest thing I did as a teenager? I was a very a rule follower. And I didn't do a lot of crazy things. Okay, one thing I'll admit I did. I mean, I was like a good girl, whatever that means. I didn't break rules. I followed all the rules. I studied, etc. But one thing I did when we moved from New York to Florida, we lived near a golf course. And I had never really seen golf carts. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's this little cart with a motor that you sit in, and when people golf and they drive their golf clubs, they put their golf clubs on and they get on a golf course and play golf, which is a sport. And me and my friends went to the golf course, and there was a key in the golf cart, and it didn't belong to us. And we drove the golf cart around the golf course, and we didn't steal the cart because you can't take it off the golf course, but we drove it around the golf course, and that was kind of bad. That's probably the worst thing I did, or the craziest thing.
That was pretty crazy. Do you like to cook? Can you?
Do I like to cook? I love to cook.
Okay. Can you give the adults in the world the recipe and ingredients to create safe childhoods?
Oh, yes. I love that. I've never been asked that question. So the ingredients to a prevention conversation to create safe childhoods. Talk to other adults. So this is adults who are willing to talk to other adults about children's body safety rules. So have conversations. Get buy-in. Number 2 would be get buy-in from the school teacher, from grandpa, from your horse riding teacher, meaning buy-in, meaning get that person to agree that Seher has the right to be safe and no one's allowed to ask her to keep a secret. So adults have the conversation, get buy-in, and then the last ingredient would be, as an adult, you decide for yourself, and I'm talking to your adult audience now, you decide for yourself who you trust and feel comfortable spending time with your children, that it's your decision. And if you're not comfortable with someone, you get to remove your child if possible. Now with family, that's very difficult.
I think these ingredients are very important for CSA prevention. It's also another way of, briefing about what you can do to prevent CSA. Now is the second last segment of the interview, that is the flash quiz, where I will be asking you very small questions and you have to answer it as fast as you can. Are you ready, Feather Auntie?
I'm ready.
All right. First, hiking or riding Elvis?
Oh, Elvis.
Mountains or beaches?
Oh gosh, both. Beaches in the winter, mountains in the summer.
Okay, winters or summers?
Summers.
Your comfort food?
Avocados.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Your favorite singer? You can hum your favorite song, just a few lines maybe?
No, I can't sing. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado, John Denver.
Your pillar of strength?
Listening.
Favorite subject in school?
Writing.
Wow, it was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed too. Now is the last segment, which is Ask Your Host. You can ask me any question which you want, Feather Auntie.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to take it away from CSA for a moment, if that's okay. I have been so curious. What is it about horses that you love? Like, what do they mean to you?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I believe that it's just that this year, 2-3 months since, I've been very connected to horses. I in the first 2-3 classes, I was so scared because they suddenly, made me ride the horse, trot and everything. So I was pretty scared at that time. But as I got to know the horses, the trainers, how to do it, I believe I was more confident in it. And there is a series on Netflix named Free Rein. When I watched it, I saw that horses are amazing and then you can connect with them so beautifully. It was about a Frisian horse named Raven, and he was jet black and then he was so beautiful, and there were many other horses too. So I believe that also, like, my mom sometimes tells me something about the horses, that they can understand your emotions while you're riding, and then you can feel, when you're around them, you feel more happy. So whenever I was around a horse, I used to, just groom it, or give the horse a bath, so that, I get to know the horse more. And I started talking to the horses. Then I understood that, they're like, they will just give an A or something to, like a yes, or they will respond. And then not all horses are naughty or bad, because sometimes, I used to get a horse that would not listen, or sometimes would just bite me out in a blue moon. So it was, before I researched more in the topic, I realized that I started understanding more, and I started understanding horses more and more. I understand how beautiful they were. And because of this, I also celebrated my last birthday in the stables by giving apples and carrots to horses. And I
Wonderful.
especially love ponies, because they are very cute. And then you can there are big horses, so my height is not so big. I'm not so tall that I can hug the horse or something. So for the ponies, it's easy, so you can connect well with the ponies. So I believe it's just that I started to understand horses more and more, and then I realized how special they were. And because of this, I aspire to become an equine therapist when I grow up.
That's beautiful. I'm so happy to have this love that we share together around this beautiful animal, as well as prevention and keeping kids safe.
It's amazing to be around horses, and you are with the horse, and I don't know, there is a feeling I can't describe.
Yeah.
So it's like you will feel only when you're next to a horse.
Yes, I understand.
That's what makes us both so special, that we understand how it's like being with horses.
Yeah.
And here we come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, dear Feather Auntie, for your wisdom, time, insights, and enthusiasm to join us. We can't wait to work on celebrating you and your heroism. Your passion is infectious, and your perseverance in this cause is inspiring us. You have touched more than 150,000 lives in this more than 3-decade-long career, and there's no way we know how to thank you enough for this phenomenal work. All I want to say is, we love you, we follow you, we admire you, and we salute you. Thank you so much for joining us, Feather Auntie. It's so inspiring to have you with us, and thank you for giving us your special time to us child warriors. So all of you, go check Feather Auntie's page on FB and Instagram, and do invest her in her parenting safe workshops, which are amazing. Let it be a step to keep children safe. And being our Capeless Superhero, we love you. Thank you so much, Feather Auntie, from the Child Warriors and from Cactus Foundation.
Likewise, thank you all so much for talking to me today and all your beautiful words.
Thank you so much, Feather Auntie. Thank you for the inspiring time. I just hope we meet soon.
I know.